All right. Hey guys, hope you are doing well. My name is Hezi, and I'm the founder and no longer owner of an e commerce agency that's been around for about 2 years. We've served e commerce clients through services like email marketing and TikTok advertising to help them scale. And now we've transitioned after a couple of years of experience to lead generation and helping other agency owners achieve their dreams and their desired outcome and help them add an extra $50,000 per month by helping them schedule 20 to 30 appointments per month through omnichannel presence consulting and cold emails. Okay. So this is one of my first videos on YouTube. So bear with me. So this might be a little weird. But I want to talk about some of my favorite outreach methods that I think everybody should be using and why they should be using them. So first things first, I think it is somewhat dependent on your niche, what outreach method you want to utilize. Some people will argue against this. They might say every outreach method works for every industry. I think that is true in principle. However, if you take examples such as maybe you can't really cold call e-commerce businesses, for example. You can, it's possible, but it's not scalable, and you're not going to be able to do enough volume to actually book enough appointments to sell, e-commerce clients. Okay, so you definitely don't want to. You can utilize cold calling for e-commerce businesses, but it's not a reliable channel at all. It's very difficult to find the phone numbers of these decision makers. They don't have, a gatekeeper. You can call a dentist office and get to the dentist, but you can't really do that for an e-commerce office, if that's a thing, right? So you have to approach the niches in different ways, at different angles for sure. And sometimes that outreach method is, it matters depending on your niche. Now, there are some outreach methods that are universal. So, for example, LinkedIn, Facebook, social media platforms that like everybody has. Every business owner has LinkedIn. At least they should. Chances are, if they don't have LinkedIn, they might not be worth working with. And that's not always the case, but pretty much every business owner has LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is very universal. Okay. But I'm just going to go down these four. These are my four favorite. Facebook, I've kind of let go of, but I'm starting to get back into it. But I've really just been focusing on the top three here. So number one is cold email. Cold email will always work. It always has. It's not dead. I don't care what anybody says. Cold email works. It always will. You just have to adapt. You have to test. You have to do some things that are very out of pocket sometimes. And it can even work for e-commerce. I don't recommend people pursue e-commerce because e-commerce is probably the most competitive niche in SMMA. It's extremely difficult to reach certain heights with e-commerce. It's for some agency owners, it will be impossible. It's not completely impossible, but most e-commerce agency owners start out with case studies from drop shipping stores, so they're able to build their agency a little bit at an advantage. Okay, they have some kind of e-commerce experience before building that agency. Okay, so an e-commerce agency from complete scratch as your very first business, I'm not really a fan of. I don't really think anybody should do that. You can do as you please. Some people might disagree with me, but I personally don't think that if you're trying to reach 10K per month as fast as possible, that should be the route that you pursue. I think you should pursue a different niche with a little bit of a lower barrier to entry that gives you a little bit more room. And also a niche that e-commerce is very a bit more professional, whereas businesses like coaches, consultants, maybe even agency owners, they can be a little bit more laid back. They don't have ginormous teams like some of these e-commerce brands do, and I feel like it's a much more entrepreneurial space, I guess. I personally love working with agency owners, and networking with them, so that's why we pursued a lead gen agency. So cold email. It'll work, always will. You just have to test. You have to try different call to actions. You have to test different angles. You have to leverage personalization in different ways. You just have to experiment with cold email. Cold email is, especially with saturated niches, a very experimental outreach method. Okay, cold email can pretty much work with any industry other than maybe contractors or plumbers. These people don't really check their emails as much as some of these other industries. It works really well with SaaS. Other agency owners, consultants, coaches. These are really great niches to reach out to. E-commerce is probably the most accessible niche to reach out to, but like I said, it's the most competitive. So the most accessible niche is the most competitive, ironically. So cold email, my favorite method. It's very passive. You can send 250 emails a day and not do too much work. All you got to do is reply to the emails. So cold email is fantastic. LinkedIn. At our e-commerce agency, we were using LinkedIn as kind of a second step process to our omni-channel outreach. So what we might do is we would have cold email in place. We would have a 7-step sequence. And then after that sequence was over, we would reach out on LinkedIn. We would say, hey, we sent you an email. If you don't mind, just give it a quick peek. Or we might just treat it like an entirely different outreach process. And we would say, hope you're doing well. Just have a quick conversation with them. On social media platforms, you want to keep it very conversational and quick. You don't want to write them your cold email over. You want to keep your messages short, sweet. You can use a little bit more of a question approach. You can ask, hey, quick question, like, can you handle more clients right now? Or can you onboard more team members, or whatever the case may be. But LinkedIn's great. LinkedIn is very universal. You can find pretty much anybody on LinkedIn. Excuse me. Like I said, e-commerce is very competitive on LinkedIn. Even you can find a lot of agencies, coaches, consultants, SaaS business owners. LinkedIn is a very professional platform as well. So it's not as laid back as something like Twitter. So you do want to make sure your profile looks a little bit more professional and corporate, I guess. So LinkedIn, one of my favorites. You can reach pretty much anybody and everybody on it. There's not very many business owners that don't have a LinkedIn profile, so you can reach out to a lot of people. Twitter is extremely laid back. Twitter kind of feels like a family, honestly. When you get into a network of people on Twitter or an industry, you kind of start networking with people, and you kind of connect with people in a way that you wouldn't on other platforms. So if you connect with somebody on Twitter very well, you've almost created a friendship there, which you can't really repeat on something like LinkedIn or cold email. Twitter is very unique in its social dynamic. So Twitter is very good for networking, in my opinion. It can be very good for cold DMing. It's not as competitive as cold email or LinkedIn or Facebook. It's a very laid back platform. People aren't, I probably get 1 DM or 2 per week, maybe 3, someone trying to sell me something or promote something. Whereas on Facebook and LinkedIn, it's pretty much every day. On cold email, it's several times a day, of course. So Twitter is a little bit less competitive, but it's becoming more competitive as of the past year. People have started transitioning to Twitter and realizing that Twitter can be leveraged as a platform, not just to look at Elon Musk's tweets, but also build a business on. So Twitter also has very good viral potential. If you provide a very good quality piece of content on Twitter, you can very, very easily get a lot of good followers. I would make 200 followers off of one post sometimes because I would provide them value. So Twitter's a really good place to you can also be very transparent on Twitter. You can post pretty much whatever you want. Just keep it as niche as possible. You can be very, like I said, laid back and very you can get a little bit more tongue-in-cheek on Twitter. So Twitter works very well with these kind of industries like e-commerce, especially NFT and Web3. Some people are growing, most NFT projects grow on Twitter. Coaches and consultants, you can find people all over on Twitter. Agency owners, same thing. SaaS, same thing. The guys over at Instantly.ai are on Twitter pretty dominantly. They have a pretty good following. Twitter doesn't have they do have Twitter communities, but it's not as advanced as like Facebook groups. So you can't really like create your own group. I really honestly don't even know how to do that. But creating a Twitter group requires some sort of special something pursuit, I guess. So Twitter, great platform in my opinion. I think everybody should be building a personal brand on there to get inbound leads. I think it's a great place to book appointments, and I've done it myself. Facebook, I think Facebook is always going to work. It's very competitive. It's very saturated. I mean, I don't really like the word saturated, but it's very competitive. You're competing with a lot of people. A lot of people are on Facebook, and a lot of people are on Facebook selling stuff. I get a lot of messages on Facebook being sold something. However, if you can build that social proof, if you can build that authority, you can do very, very well on Facebook. You just got to provide a lot of value, and you really got to go in these groups pursuing people, not just sales. You got to be very transparent and very genuine and very authentic. Okay. So Facebook is very universal as well. Facebook is much more of a social media platform than LinkedIn is. LinkedIn is kind of like something that just you kind of have if you're a business owner, whereas Facebook is a little bit more personal, I guess. It's kind of like a bridge between Twitter and LinkedIn. If I had to put it into simpler terms. But Facebook's a great place to do outreach on. You can book a lot of appointments on Twitter. Some people are booking like 30 appointments a month on Twitter. Or, I'm sorry, Facebook, Twitter as well, but Facebook. So Facebook is a great place as well. Other outreach methods that I've personally tried and I think work really well are Instagram. Instagram's pretty tough. I think Instagram might be the hardest out of all of these because Instagram is a little bit more of a personal platform. I feel like it's a lot like Twitter. Um, people on Instagram don't really want to be sold. They're just there to kind of do their own thing. I treat Instagram as much more of a personal platform than all these other platforms. I don't really do any outreach on Instagram. I just make a whole separate account to do outreach on, to be quite honest. A lot of people might advise against that. But Instagram can be a great platform if you can learn how to use it right. Just post content very consistently. The ability to go viral on Instagram is much harder compared to platforms like Twitter and TikTok. So it's much easier to get 10,000 followers on Twitter or even TikTok than it is on Instagram. So Instagram is much more of a slower and tedious process, but if you can pull it off, if you can get social proof on Instagram, you're pretty golden. Social proof on Instagram is very authoritative, I guess. So yeah, those are my favorite outreach methods and some that I've used myself. If you have any questions, please leave some comments down below. I'm excited to grow this YouTube channel. Yeah, if you're wanting to add an extra 20 to 30 appointments per month through cold email and omni-channel presence consulting, let me know. I'll leave my Calendly in the link in the description, and we can get to work. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great day.